Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is often considered to be one of the best Call of Duty games of all time. It's not perfect, the multiplayer can be incredibly unbalanced, Spec Ops is certainly there, and it has a campaign. That's all I got. Can you beat Modern Warfare 2 without taking any damage? The campaign begins with credits and a sort of recap of what happened last time. There was a guy missing an arm, and I think somebody got shot. Seems kind of violent for a kid's game, so that's probably not what happened. I assumed the role of Private Joseph Allen and took part in a tutorial that is supposed to be me showing some folk how to use a gun properly, but it just sounds weird. These locals don't have to press A to stand up. I briefly thought I could ruin everything by wasting the entire military supply of grenades. They respawn infinitely. I settled for a 360 noscope, interrupted a basketball game, grabbed baby's first machine gun, and ran through the pit. I was perfect. I made no mistakes. I certainly didn't mess up the part where you had to sprint. I ran it 2 more times, for fun, settled on the easiest difficulty, multiplayer guy said his catchphrase, and the real campaign begins. If you take damage here, you're a moron. There are enemies on the bridge and are basically just there to give you something to shoot at without having to think about it. Then things went downhill faster than just about any challenge I've done. On rails, sections are common, but in the very beginning of the game, come on, this isn't fair. There's some time now, I can explain how this run works. It's probably what you thought it would be. If I take any damage, I reload the last checkpoint. This results in me throwing myself at a situation until I eventually get through it without taking any damage. This is the first real instance where you can take damage from an enemy, and it's an ambush of epic proportions. Dozens upon dozens of enemies with RPGs are all over the place. Drive onward, and there's more RPG people in buildings, and there are trucks with machine guns, and a platoon of soldiers running down the street, and it's a whole ordeal. I went through this a bunch of different times, because I'm not a quitter. But with the number of enemies that are all over the place, I just don't think it's possible to get through this without taking any damage. I even watched a speed run to see if it's somehow possible to skip this part, but they don't skip anything. So you probably can't beat Modern Warfare 2 without taking any damage, but I'm gonna keep going anyway. Bullets fly and kick up a dust storm at the worst possible time. My inhaler is back at the base. An RPD can be a suitable replacement in a pinch if you want to threaten your asthma into submission instead of dealing with it the proper way. I almost immediately swapped out that RPD for an FAL. I followed Sergeant Foley and the boys into history and promptly blew everyone in the classroom away. We passed through a few alleyways, and General Shepard commandeered my body for his own personal uses. He's no Rolf, but he's got a solid voice, almost as good as mine. Next up is Cliffhanger, probably the second most recognizable mission in the game, behind that other one. The one that's a real-time simulation of getting your bags checked at the airport. The first portion of Cliffhanger is easy, just climb the wall with your picks. For some reason I thought I remembered being hit by ice in this mission when you're about to fall. Macintosh jumped real good. I did a bunch of practice swings, lost my grip on the ice, regained my composure, scaled the wall, pulled out my guns, and began the infiltration mission. He goes to get coffee and leaves the fun stuff to me. Ladders can be dangerous. They don't exist in Fallout, so I don't have much experience with them. All you're doing is sneaking your way through the white sandstorm towards your objective. I accidentally alerted a few of the guards when I was close enough to touch one of their noses, which prompted me to put a few bullets in their car for safekeeping. The big ol' thermal tank keeps you from going too far south. Meet back up with McTavish, shoot some guy in the legs as he's being stabbed in the upper body, grab the ACS, and McTavish is compromised. I couldn't remember exactly how this situation played out. The first time I did nothing and let McTavish get executed. The second time, I tossed a flashbang right as they opened fire and he was executed. The third time I missed my grenade throw, blew up myself and he was executed. The fourth time, I opened fire and he was executed. The fifth time, I changed things up and held a flashbang right before they executed him. The sixth time, I believed them when they told me to come out with my hands up, and McTavish, of course, was executed. The seventh time, I detonated the explosion and massacred everyone except for McTavish. As you would expect, Winter Soldier people weren't that happy that we just killed all their friends and blew up their transport. They sent snowmobiles armed with humans after us. I didn't look both ways and got ran over. No big deal. We slid down the hill without any sleds. That's dangerous, almost as dangerous as getting run over by a snowmobile a second time. With everyone dead, we could take to the snow and begin our escape. We had our own snowmobiles. We're friends, but not those kind of friends. This was harder than you'd think. As far as shooting goes, I don't know if any portion of any game is as forgiving as this. If there's someone in front of you and you can see them on the screen, firing the gun will pretty much always kill them. But the helicopter shots are difficult to dodge, and there are a lot of enemies coming after you. It almost feels like it comes down to luck as to whether you take damage or not. The stars aligned, I got the checkpoint, descended down the mountain at illegal speeds, arrived at the chopper, and the airplane mission is next. There's some stuff happening, this is Call of Duty. What really stood out to me was how slowly I walked. That was annoying. It was almost as annoying as all the people screaming. The lack of children in this mission was also surprising. Probably just a simple mistake. Fighting through the mall cops and airport security took longer than it needed to. The riot shield guys took a fair amount of damage, and even blasting them with a grenade launcher didn't take them out in a single shot. What I found to work best was lying on the ground and shooting at people's ankles. Their feet aren't completely protected by the riot shields, and the other guys are drawing their attention away from me. I found myself a Spaz 12 inside. I didn't get to use it for very long or on anybody because Chief Bad Guy Makarov shot me in the head like a coward. And to add insult to injury, he drove away in an ambulance. I took damage from that shot, believe it or not. Scripted damage doesn't necessarily count, so it's on to takedown for this guy. Make sure you get down to avoid being shot, and don't shoot any civilians or bad things will happen. I tactically blew out the kneecap of Rojas' right-hand man. There was some implied torture, and I went with Royce and Meat to track down Rojas himself. This mission was rough. There were, I don't know what they're called, members of the local militia all over the place. And for once, I do mean that literally. There's not just a few of them in the area. They're hiding out in buildings, behind corners, peeking out of windows, on rooftops 250 feet away. There really isn't any clear-cut subway cold cut combo strategy. You just need to go slowly, fully examine the area before proceeding, pump ungodly amounts of bullets into the people just trying to defend their community. It almost felt like no matter how many people I killed, there was always more coming to take their place. Sometimes I got a checkpoint right in the middle of an open area. Other times, it felt like it made more sense to just run like a madman and pray to Satan that you don't get hit. A German Shepherd grabbed my arm and wanted to play. I couldn't bear to hit a dog, so I just let him have his fun. The next time I saw him, I didn't hit him. Got myself a checkpoint in a building, tried a couple times to take out everyone in my way. It was too much of a pain in the ass, so I took a few shots and ran through their gunfire without being struck by any bullets, just like Jesus did in World War II. Several times I did, trying to get through this next little area. Upside was, I got myself just about the best weapon I could possibly have, an RPD with an ACOG scope. Kills enemies in 2 to 3 shots, a solid zoom, and an Imperial kiloton of ammunition to go along with it. I kept advancing about as carefully as I could. This area legit probably had a dozen people in it on different rooftops surrounding me. Killing them all wasn't an option. Eventually I got another checkpoint, had made my way towards the upper level of the favela, took damage a bunch of times, and we did it. Soap tackled Rojas off a rooftop onto a car, and we had our man. Oh yeah, both Meat and Royce died. It was revealed during a cutscene that Russians have breached the borders of the continental United States and are attempting to destroy our beloved highway potholes with their machine guns and fancy planes. Guess what? More bullshit. You have to get out of this Jeep and run to cover. Conveniently, you don't have enough time to get far enough away from the car to not take damage. Numbers is hard, Elmo's number game and whatnot. I thought maybe I could just hide out in the doghouse to avoid the full-scale invasion of the nation. When that didn't work, I shattered someone's windows for fun, and followed behind the guy with the word follow pinned to his helmet. It took me a minute to figure out how to throw a smoke grenade to avoid the BTR machine. This alleyway took me a couple tries too. It shouldn't have been difficult, but the scar is kind of annoying to use. I swapped it out for an FAL, made my way into the gas station in search of snacks, but there was no time. Our dinner reservation was for 1 o'clock. The enemy attempted to take back the Red Lobster. Now you'd think that with a sniper rifle with a thermal scope, this would be easy. And it really was, but the M21 wasn't as practical as I thought it would be. Back across the street, I found a big gun and a computer. The Predator missile was extraordinarily useful. There's nothing like raining down death on targets with no hope of being able to fight back. God, I love America. I'd been hearing whispers about this Raptor character for the last few minutes. No idea who it was. Part of me hoped they meant Reptar and that maybe by protecting him, I'd get front row tickets to Reptar on Ice. That didn't happen. I got an achievement though. I consider that a fair trade-off. Lots more enemies died. Overlord commended me on my ability to blow people up without mercy. I ran across the street again. Someone did their best to fire an RPG. I took out a couple helicopter, met up with everyone at the convoy, and the Hornet's nest was next. This mission picks up where Takedown ended, and as you can probably imagine, that's not a good thing. I'm fighting alongside Ghost and McTavish through the favela until we get to a point where Nikolai can rescue us. This mission was difficult for the same reason Takedown was difficult. The small upside is that there are NPCs who can't die here to share the burden of all this murder. The Dragunov I had ran out after the first section, but the FAL is a solid weapon provided you don't miss every single shot you take like I did. This part took a little while. A significant number of people up ahead, then down the street to the left are a lot more. After a couple minutes, I got around the back side of a building where I found a Model 1887, the only shotgun with more range than a sniper rifle. Then I picked up another RPD with an ACOG, and nobody could ever hope to stop me. Some people did, but I consider them cheaters. This was another section that sucked big time. In a surprising twist, I made the most progress once I started using a UMP. Then came the part where we pushed through the market. Again, bad times. A couple times, I tried popping out from behind cover and taking out whatever target I saw. It wasn't very effective. Spraying randomly into a crowd of people with an automatic weapon cleared out a few areas more easily. Very slowly, progress was made. A Pavlo showed up and then fucked off immediately because there wasn't enough space to land. The boys and I went for a run along the rooftops. I forgot to jump and thought I fell to my death. Turns out, you're not supposed to make that jump. You can't get into the building without taking damage. I tried several times. This is just another one of those sections where damage is unavoidable. You have no weapons and only 30 seconds to make it to the chopper, so you can't try to sneak your way past enemies. A speedrunner got through it without being shot, but that was a former world record run. I can't be expected to do something on that level to avoid taking damage. After leaping onto the ladder, Exodus was next. We're in North Virginia, defending the Striker. They came about as close as anyone ever has in this game to mentioning my name. They said half of Mitten Squad. I once again got ran over after I forgot to look both ways. Spent several lives trying to get to the other side of the street without being shot. Then eventually did it. We trampled the absolute fuck out of some yards on this street. All those dead bodies are gonna kill the grass. This mission is mostly suburban warfare. Just make your way down the street, killing everything in your path. The honey badger does its own thing cause it ain't give a shit. Nothing about Exodus was very difficult. It was just a plain old Call of Duty mission. No frills, no gills, no nonsense. That said, it was very atmospheric to see helicopters and planes flying overhead. Not a whole lot worth talking about. I took damage a handful of times, mostly when making my way through large houses. Our end goal was destroying 2 anti-air turrets, then moving on to 4677 Brookmere Road to secure a valuable target. He was nowhere to be found. His teddy bear had been left behind. That boring mission was over. Next up is the only easy day ... was yesterday. The mission starts off easy. A couple stealth kills with silenced weapons. Blow open a door, kill the right person, throw a grenade into the water to alert the enemies and fail the mission, shoot a hostage in the head, try attacking from the other side, successfully rescue the first batch of hostages, notice that everyone took off their flippers, rescue more hostages, lay a trap for the Russians, detonate, and magically your suppressors disappear. I don't know if it was just me being weird or my eyes playing tricks on me, but it seemed like my M4's red dot sight zoomed in a lot more than it should have. We shot and exploded our way through the middle-ish level of the oil rig. With all the gas leaks and such, that was surely the best option we had and was not at all dangerous. Around here I became incredibly aware of what I was doing, how I was just sort of looking left to right and shooting everything I saw. Like most existential crises, it went away after I killed somebody. The game presented me an intervention with a thermal sight just before a checkpoint. I, of course, didn't use it. The enemy had smoke, but I had an automatic shotgun. I dare you to come up with any scenario that an automatic shotgun can't solve. I've got one, a room full of hostages, C4, and explosive barrels. That's probably the only one though. We boarded a bird that looked awfully small for all of our manliness. I tried to friendly fire, and the gulag is next. The birds had multiplied and were assaulting a Russian prison. The outer assault is hardly even an assault, it's more like a slaughter. Inside reminded me of that one mission from Wolfenstein: The New Order, cause it's a circular prison thing. This had no right being as time consuming as it was. I just kept taking damage over and over and over again. Even when I sat back and picked off peasants from a distance, I still got hit. Sometime later, I used the worst night vision goggles in the world, hid from the violence inside a cement cell, and we found the armory. There were a lot of cool toys here. This being a no damage run, I opted for the safest weapons available, dual M9s. If you have the option to dual wield pistols, you don't not dual wield pistols. See, I took damage when I picked up the riot shield. That's a sign. It took some effort, but we made it down to the lower level where the power had been cut off. I saved ammo for the pistols by blinding myself and firing wildly into the white light. If you're ever dying and happen to have a gun on you, I'd suggest trying that out for yourself. See what happens. Then I thought I took damage. It wasn't damage, it was a friendly plane blasting a JFK-sized hole in the building. We passed through a couple corridors, my pistols ran their course, and we spent 10 minutes in the prison showers, if you know what I mean. Someone got fucked and that someone was me. Get what I'm saying? My body took a pounding. Men blasted me. My fluids were all over the place. I think that's all I got. Oh, I was told to detonate from behind. This video's 100% getting demonetized. They had riot shields, which are always a pain in the ass to deal with. It was annoying because it took so long, not because it was difficult. I fell through a hole and bounced off McTavish's head, and we found prisoner 627. It was none other than Fisher Price himself. During the escape, I took damage from explosions, bringing down the building. It wasn't coming from any specific direction, so it couldn't be avoided. We got tugged real good out of prison, and Of Their Own Accord is next. The invasion of Washington, D.C. had taken a turn for the worst. We're losing. After leaving a surprise for someone napping, I met up with Sergeant Foley, ran outside, and took the fight to the White House. I took damage and accidentally restarted the mission. Way to go me. Snagged the sniper rifle, and was back just in time for round 2. Getting inside was easy enough. Getting through all the enemy forces inside wasn't a cakewalk, but it wasn't impossible either. Some helicopters flew by. They were lucky I couldn't tell if they were friendly or not, or I'd have blasted them out of the sky with a shotgun. On the 5th floor, I hugged a grenade to take someone to hell with me, and I was told to use a javelin to take out helicopters and other mechanical nonsense. This took a few minutes. It seemed like every time I got 1 or 2 things destroyed, I took damage from something I couldn't see. I had to take a shot, run behind cover, wait for it to piss off, then pop out to take another shot at something else. In the end, I saved the day, took a ride in a chopper with an explosive chain gun, got blasted out of the sky, was given a gun with almost no ammo, and was told to hold the position. Then a flash of white, and the mission was over. That's the end of Act 2. Up next is Contingency. This is the sneaky winter stealth mission of Modern Warfare 2. Taking out people with silenced weapons is child's play. Avoiding the fire of BTRs was frustrating. Multiple seconds were wasted trying to run into the woods without being shot or without being crushed by a falling tree. More stealth kills, a Predator missile, and we arrive at the town. You're given the Predator missile for a reason. A lot of things must die here. In general, it's pretty manageable. There wasn't anything about it that was inherently challenging. Just go slow, don't run out into the open, use the missile whenever possible, and you can press onward after some time passes. Then you do it again at one of their bases. You can kill most people with the Predator missile if you sit back and wait for it to come back online. This isn't Scooby-Doo takes on the might of the Russian army. You're not going to get through here without a whole lot of death. Good news is, the number of casualties is about to get a whole lot bigger. Captain Price got into the submarine and launched a nuclear missile. If Big Bird wasn't trying to evade a nationwide manhunt, he'd be proud of what Price just did. Back at the capital of America, Second Son is next. The flash happened again, and I went to fucking space. I sat there for a while, doing nothing because I thought it was a cutscene. Not long after looking to the right, I saw the pretty yellow dot explode, sending a dark cloud barreling towards me, which knocked me into another dimension. It was an EMP or something. Bryce apparently got his 18 kill streak. Maybe it's just me, but I always found it extremely satisfying to use a gun with a red dot sight without the dot. I'm not sure why. We worked our way through a couple office buildings. I used my pistol for a bit because it's a fun weapon to use. We spawn killed these guys from Borderlands who just got off the bus. We got to the president's bunker under the McDonald's, and Whiskey Hotel was next. This was another one of those missions that was really not a good time. Those pesky Russians have taken over the White House, also known as Whiskey Hotel. I didn't know that they were the same thing until I looked it up. The Russians have turrets and snipers and soldiers all over the place. There are a few spots in the ground where you can duck and cover from the turrets. But generally, if you're out in the open for more than 15 feet, you're gonna get shot. Trying to sprint through this without really shooting anyone isn't an option. I found out after a while that you can take out the turrets with a powerful enough gun, which helps a lot but doesn't necessarily make it easy. The pussies hard scoping with their snipers were making my life difficult. It took me a solid 15 minutes just to get past the White House. Entering the West Wing was a bit of a hassle. Bunch of meanies weren't playing fair and letting me shoot them first. I'm supposed to get a handicap, otherwise I won't have a chance at winning. Once we were inside, it wasn't too bad for the most part. This area, I think it's the briefing room or something, gave me trouble for a few minutes for the same reason just about any other section did. After I almost accidentally restarted the mission, I rolled up my sleeves, took off my special helmet, and got the job done, like only a pro Call of Duty player can. I got up to the roof, waved my green flare all over the place. The daylight broke through the clouds over the District of Columbia, and that was the end of the American portion of the campaign. We're getting close to the end now. All the pieces are falling into place. Hopefully, some snot-nosed little bastard doesn't flip the board when he's losing. My next mission? Loose ends. Neutralize Vladimir Makarov, or neuter him. I suppose either would get the job done. Mines were hidden in the ground, and predictably you can't really avoid them. Going prone seems to avoid the damage from them, but air mines are being fired pretty much anywhere where the smoke isn't. Clearing an area when everyone is in the smoke requires some finagling and ingenuity. Inside the safe house, several doors were breached. The bad men went bye-bye, and almost every weapon in the game was at my disposal. It was hard to pick two guns to use for the assault. I went with a Barrett 50 caliber rifle and a P90 that I'm 90% sure had a silencer on it when I picked it up. It was gone when I used it, so I swapped it out for a striker gun, the same kind Luigi carried onto the field in Super Mario Strikers, cleared the room, and began preparing for the enemy assault. The Barrett became worthless almost immediately, so I ditched it in favor of an M240. Then I swapped that out for an L86 with a scope. The L86 with thermal in Modern Warfare 3 was my shit, and this was just about as close as I could get to that. Holding off everyone wasn't much of a challenge. Escaping to the landing zone? Yeah, that was some otherworldly shit. Enemies from behind, enemies in front, nowhere to go on the left or right, stuck right in the middle of hell. Add in some mortars for good measure. I tried just about everything I could think of to get through this. Flashbang everything in front, and striker them all. Spray and pray with the L86. Run past them, flashbang and run past. None of it seemed to work. Then God spit on me, and I got to the landing zone. Ghost carried me to safety like something out of a Disney movie. A chopper blasted the Russians. I gave the DSM to Shepard, and got a nice shot in the gut for my troubles. Some soldiers played jump rope with my body. Ghost and I were dropped into a hole, lit on fire, and that was that. Price and McTavish are the only ones left. The enemy of my enemy, the Boneyard. What a complete and total clusterfuck of a mission. This isn't the last mission, but it really feels like everything has been building to this. I would go so far as to call this unpleasant. In theory, there's nothing terrible going on. It's not like there are invulnerable BTRs or window-mounted turrets to contend with. It's just a fuck ton of people all trying to kill you in large open spaces when they all have different sorts of pieces of cover to peek out from behind. You just have to go incredibly slowly, always looking at different objects to see if there's an arm or a leg sticking out from behind it. When it sounds like all the shooting in the vicinity has ceased, you can creep forward and hope you didn't miss anyone. The silenced M21 you're given at the start helps out a lot. In time, you'll get through it with at least a little bit of your sanity left in place. It took me a solid 45 minutes to get to the Jeep with Price. Then, another on-rails section. You know how these go by now. Enemies in front, enemies behind, enemies in a helicopter, enemies on the side. It felt impossible to take them all out without being shot once. Aiming in a moving vehicle, even with a gun that's effectively a laser, is difficult. I tried several times, but gave up. Drove the Jeep into Nikolai's plane. He dropped us off in the desert, and with a silenced Vector and a silenced intervention, Price and I began our suicide mission, just like old times. Stealth sections are about as easy as they've ever been. We bungee jumped down a cliff, made a guy go limp, espionaged our way through a cave. Once again, the horrible night vision made its presence known. Shepard became aware that we were in the area. I foolishly dropped my ACR for a riot shield, and combat got real. They used my own riot shield tactic against me. I really hate riot shields when they're being used by someone who isn't me. They're just annoying to deal with. Several deaths later, I ran back for my ACR, and waited for Price to do all the work. That's good teamwork right there. We ran outside to escape an explosion. Shepard threw caution to the wind, and we ran back inside to escape a second explosion. He sent what forces remained to stop us. But because this is the video game, they never stood a chance. We're in the end game now. Literally, that's the name of the mission. And what better way to go out than with yet another fucking driving section. These are stupid. Whether you get by without taking damage is basically a crapshoot. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. There's nothing fun about it. I, got a checkpoint just before exiting a small cavern out into an open area. A bunch of boats shooting from different directions. Enough of them that you can't possibly take them all out. Plus a helicopter that exists only to be a pain in the ass. There are some passageways on the side where you can avoid some of the fire, but they're tight holes, and when you're in them, you don't have the opportunity to take out any of the other boats. So, you either avoid their shots for a time, then deal with all of them, or you stay out in the open and try to take out some of them. It's a shit show regardless of what choice you make. I deemed it impossible, and accidentally got a checkpoint sooner than I thought I would. We rode down the river, a boat overturned, I hit a rock, Price took out the Pavlo with his mind. We fell down the waterfall, and I washed up on the beach. All that's left is to kill Shepard. He bounced my face off a car and stuck a blade in my chest. As I drifted in and out of consciousness, Price and Shepard battled to the death. I knew it had to be done. I had to give Shepard his knife back. I ripped it from my sternum, chucked it into Shepard's eye hole. Nikolai arrived just in the nick of time, and I did not beat Modern Warfare 2 without taking any damage. And that's gonna do it for this video, about whether or not you can beat Modern Warfare 2 without taking any damage. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything, leave a like. Leave a dislike if you didn't enjoy the video or didn't learn anything. Thanks to the Champion tier supporters, as well as other channel members, for helping make videos like this one possible. Join the Mitten Squad Discord server through a link in the video description. Follow me on Twitter at Mitten Squad, or don't. My name is Paul of Mitten Squad. Have a wonderful day.